Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, whenever I come out here, I have to just put in the lawyer, like, the right.
We've had, oh, it's been really,
Yeah, I check on the Facebook invite to figure out their address.
I know, right? And I had to do this this morning, I was like,
Oh, good.
yes.
And I figured out how to choose that, choose mine.
Okay. That shows that my people still have me dance or use SAST time, which I don't know, that stands for, but it's the And so like, this is the pops up as like 8 o'clock.
I went to this at 11 o'clock, because my FaceTime had not,
Oh, no.
I didn't even notice, you know, it's like this.
Like, tell me what the other, what we did.
It's gonna be a problem.
You work hard here, right? And you know the way.
No, we can tear that out. I will talk about that.
Oh, no.
And our conditions.
Oh, yeah.
but you'll meet for your week and then they'll go for.
Yeah.
The pepper salami is the best.
Wow.
So,
In Arizona, she said no, and I said, yeah. So
Hey guys, we'll turn the video back on once we start to do the reading. Just pay attention and be about 5-10 minutes. Thank you.
In a minute. You on with views of tracks. Well, hello, everyone online. Thanks for coming. It's great to see you. And thanks everyone in the room for being here. It's really just a pleasure to be a part of this process of sharing what I've learned about teaching and practicing yoga for the last 20 years in the military. Part of why I wrote this chapter was just to chronicle what that meant for me as part of my personal journey, as well as to consider some of the broader implications. And one of the things that I perceived over time is that there are definitely key principles, key leadership principles, and key community building principles that are part of what I learned practicing yoga in the military. So that's part of why I wrote what I wrote. And I think that there are implications about what that means for the future. The military, or at least the Army, has done a lot of holistic health and fitness doctrine that they've developed over the last decade. And as it's evolving, more and more yoga and more holistic practices are being integrated into that. And so although this is not an official statement about what the Department of Defense is doing, or this is not an official statement of the military, this is my personal experience, and it does help to shape, the discussion about what we do. So the book is called The Future of Sacred Yoga Therapy. And this book was a collaboration effort between myself and 5 other yoga therapists, some of which have dual training like myself. So I'm an Army physician assistant as well as yoga therapist. Some of my collaborators are dietitians as well as yoga therapists, or have other credentials. And what we find with yoga therapy is that it's an opportunity for us to take the tools of yoga and then shape them so that we can direct them towards helping people heal some psychological trauma, helping people deal with alleviating some physical pain and physical challenges. I'm just gonna admit someone over here. So all of these things they kind of work together. And so when you have someone dual credentialed like myself or my colleagues, you find that there are pieces of yoga that we tie into, key into a little bit more and get a little bit more focused on. Like for myself, I do a lot of focus on psychological health, resilience, well-being, as well as physical. Hey, welcome, Lisa. And I started doing that in family medicine. So when I went to PA school, I had just finished my initial yoga teacher training and found that going to South Korea, we had a lot of soldiers with adjustment disorders and sleep disorders. And so I spent a lot of time walking people through those strategies that could be used to address with sleep, the Sunday night scaries, just not being able to focus as much as you would like to and be as productive as they would like to. And so while I have the flexibility in my family practice clinic to take people through progressive relaxation and give them small homework things that they can do to help improve their lives and their lifestyles. So that's a part of like my journey. But I wanted to read a little bit about from the book itself. So like I said, the future of sacred yoga therapy is a collaboration between 5 of us, and in this case, I'll read a little bit about what we misunderstand about yoga. My personal journey going from a little hippie commune in Los Angeles to joining the Army, and going from basic training to yoga, teaching yoga, and kind of the principles I learned about yoga as medicine. So what we misunderstand about yoga. One of the principal texts of yoga is the Bhagavad Gita, which chronicles the epic war of the Mahabharata. The main character, Arjuna, is a warrior talking to Lord Krishna about the nature of war. As they are assembled across 2 lines of the battlefield, Arjuna admits that he does not want to fight against his brothers, uncles, and cousins. He believes that the battle will kill so many. Indeed, for a warrior, there is no better engagement than fighting for a homeland of righteousness. In this context, Arjuna had a duty to fulfill in society. He was and could not be a soldier who refused to fight because it was not fulfilling his role in society. There are many misconceptions about yoga. One of the most pervasive misunderstandings is that yoga is only about postures. Another is that yoga and meditation are completely different, or that the postures need to be complicated or perfectly aligned for someone to benefit from them. Outline ethical guidelines, niyamas, practices of character, asana, which is postures, pranayama, breath control, pratyahara, withdrawing of the sentences, dharana, which is concentration, dhyana, which is meditation, and samadhi, which is enlightenment or bliss. The 3 limbs of yoga that are most familiar to the layperson are the 3rd limb, asanas. Instructors may also lead the experience of the 5th limb, pratyahara, or withdrawing of the senses, and the 6th limb, dharana, concentration, while guiding people through postures. It is very common to attend a 1-hour yoga class that focuses on postures, with 1 to 2 minutes of deep breathing to help the student focus on their internal mind and body senses. The teacher may briefly guide the student into a practice of deep breathing or meditation at the end of class. But what's interesting is those first 2 limbs, the yamas and the niyamas, have to do with principles of how we treat each other. Yamas include principles of kindness, truthfulness, not stealing, moderation, and not being possessive. Niyamas include principles of character and explore concepts like cleanliness, contentment, discipline, contemplation, and surrender to the divine. And some yogis might have reservations with my interpretation of the first yama as kind means non-harming. And I chose this definition because it was aligned and because of the alignment with soldiers, because soldiers are war fighters. They're not ascetics, they're not monks. And it is more useful for them to operate from a principle of kindness and the highest good than from an absolute dogmatic principle of not harming. For one to fully achieve their capacity in the profession of arms, it is important for them to take principles that will move people along towards the next stage of development, not dogmatic perfection. Soldiers live their lives on the threshold between the clashes of forces for more power. To defend what we value from harm, soldiers may need to do harm. The work of war is messy, and the aspiration for perfection does not alleviate the need to defend imperfectly in the moment. Ahimsa is based on the concept that all beings are sacred. They are, and some beings have defenders, while others do not. So part 1 is from hippie girl to military yogi. But before I move on to that, I just wanted to know if anybody had any thoughts about misconceptions of yoga. Were people pretty familiar with the common principles of yoga, the 8 limbs, or anything like that? Okay, so it's news to you. All right, awesome. Right, so a lot of people think that yoga is just exercise or just what you do at the gym and lots of sun salutations, and that's like how you do yoga. And yoga really is a lifestyle. And over time, people start to make more deliberate choices about their health and their well-being. by incorporating these principles. And you don't necessarily have to, like, yoga is not necessarily a religious practice, but it is a practice of how you live your life. And so what we find then is that people of all religions practice yoga. People of all faiths and backgrounds can, you know, consider what it's like to be quiet and contemplative in prayer, or what it's like to focus on something so much that you can break through and have, you know, succulent piece of what it is to be in the moment of doing what it is that you're doing. Everyone can follow these ideas that are very similar to the it's the yamas and the yamas. It's like, be reflective to yourself, discipline, be kind to others, and, you know, be a productive member of your society, fulfill your role, fulfill your destiny. And so when I think about yoga, I think about it in that more holistic concept. I may teach a class, but oftentimes there will be more breath work, because that's an opportunity for people to withdraw into the stillness, because just like hearts are designed to beat and lungs are designed to breathe, our minds are designed to think. And we find that when we quiet ourselves and still our bodies, we're able to really perceive on what those thoughts are. And when we think about it neuroscientifically, like 95% of today's thoughts are the same thoughts as yesterday, because our minds are trying to create shortcuts so that it doesn't spend all of its energy thinking. And so in order to do that, it just creates shortcuts. And it's like in our bodies, we find that, oh, there are some thoughts that keep coming around that do not serve me. And there are some thoughts that could serve me if I gave them more attention and I focused on that a little bit more. And so when we have this practice of mindfulness and alignment with our minds and our bodies and our souls perform what it is that we're doing on a daily basis, there's something even more powerful. And I didn't know if anyone online had any thoughts and or comments. I'll leave it open for a moment. And hearing nothing, I will continue on to talk about from a hippie girl to a military unit. I never should have been a soldier. My father was a post-Vietnam Marine who had nothing good to say about his experience. His message to me was always get good grades and go to college. By 17, your choice for my mind was the military. In 2003, the war in Iraq was scaling up. I had just returned from a 10-month stint working in London after college and was at a local nonprofit in Long Beach, California. My housemates and I tried to live a sustainable lifestyle full of daily yoga, raw vegan diets, and modeling permaculture design principles. We practice Ashtanga yoga, which is typically a 90-minute series of the same yoga postures repeated every day. And Ashtanga practice is designed to build Ashtanga laid the foundation for regular yoga practice that I would carry forward with me for years to come. Our home served as a hub for our organic food cooperative, where we grew backyard vegetables, respectfully foraged our neighborhood, and promoted local organic growers who shared our values. Our commitment to permaculture was pervasive in everything we did, from greywater recycling to drip irrigation and drought-tolerant plants and lasagna gardening. We were about community. We even had an artist who rented a tent in our backyard. We were the type of community that one would expect to oppose America's involvement in the Amazon world and national events. Our goal was not only to talk about problems in the world, but also solutions. And conversations were broad, ranging from the morality and futility of the Iraq War. The Iraq War was then tied to an homage about our dependence on fossil fuels, and the dependence on fossil fuels was the cause of despair, not only because it's linked to war, but also to climate change. And as we discussed the need to move away from fossil fuels, someone would remark about the lasting ecological footprint of lithium in electronic vehicles that we were talking about service. These solutions were hard, and nothing was absolute, but the topics weren't always so heavy. Attendees also shared delightful discoveries like yerba mate, through a glass of beer straw, but oftentimes, drinking that instead of coffee. But after the conversation circle back to the war, it was really what everyone saw. And at some point in these discussions, something started to feel off. It felt like fully understood why our country might pursue that path. And how could we? What did we know other than what we were watching on CNN? Our conversation. But not only before. And at some point, the conversations and our understanding felt like. So a skilled my plan was to approach joining the army as an anthropologist. Beginning of truly understanding what it was like to be in the Army. Part 3, from basic training to yoga in the heart of Iraq. During my spinal twist, wake up I finished officer candidate school